A Sign of Wisdom by Caitlin Greenwood. Essential question: how do animals play a role in traditional Native American literature? Let's begin by taking a look at the selected text. These three stories each display strong respect for animals and the land. In Campbell's article, Students' Construction of Knowledge about Native Americans through Children's Literature, she states she has felt the constant battle of trying to help learners conceptually understand the lives of Native Americans without the constant reference to Thanksgiving, how it used to be when Indians and Europeans first encountered each other, misrepresentation of Indian dress and conduct. For this reason, I have selected these books to accurately represent Native American literature. In this story, Akalak gets sent on a long journey to retrieve food from her uncle's tribe. The young girl starts to doubt herself being able to take the long journey on her own. Along the way, she runs into a caribou, which she immediately befriends. They start talking about qualities of various animals they wish they could be because of their unique characteristics. Upon arriving at her destination, Aklak discovers the caribou was not only make-believe, but she believes it was her grandmother's spirit guiding her on her adventure. She no longer feels like it was a journey, but she understands that this was an adventure. Baby Kalu was born in an Inuit tribe, and he is welcomed by many Arctic animals. Each animal shares words of encouragement and wisdom. The animals share values of love and respect for the animals and the land. For example, a polar bear gave advice to Kalu, saying, "You will always treat animals with respect, and you will never scold them." He made an offering of gentleness, making a modest, kind Kalu. In this next story, a young girl sets out to help her tribe by collecting buffalo to last the entire winter. She makes a promise with a spirit that if she can capture enough buffalo, she would marry one. Instantly, the buffalo are captured, and much like Beauty and the Beast, she becomes the prisoner. When the girl's father searches for her, the buffalo kills him to show the pain the animals feel when killed. They make a deal that if she can bring her father back to life, then they will both be free. By doing the buffalo dance, the girl brings her father back to life and promises that if she continues to do the dance, the buffalo will sacrifice themselves, coming to an ultimate compromise. The rationale for these themed texts. All three texts display a common theme of animal spirits. The stories portray animals to be wise, strong, and dependable. Readers are able to understand that animal spirits in the Native American literature represent wisdom, protection, ritual traditions, and a prophecy for the future. Through this representation, readers are able to see the level of respect Native Americans have for both animals and the land. My goals for instruction include: students will understand the traditional beliefs of Native American culture. Students will be able to recognize animals are used for signs of wisdom, protection, survival, and rituals in Native American literature. Students will understand cultural differences, and students will analyze diversity in cultures and weed out the stereotypes. As far as age appropriateness, I believe my text set will be best used in a second grade class. I imagine the class is composed of mostly American students with only stereotypical information on Native American culture. It's my goal to introduce students to Native American literature to help them understand that the things that they have learned based around Christopher Columbus and Thanksgiving is not necessarily the best depiction of the culture. My timeline for this project is to have students work on a 2-week period. I would like to spend about 3 days on each book, the first day including the reading, the second day a review of the reading as well as a beginning activity, and by the third day completing their activity and presenting it to the class. For Akalak's adventure activities, before reading, I would like my students to brainstorm. They would share what they know about the various animals in the story, such as caribou, trout, geese, and wolves. We would then discuss how you think these animals play a role in our story. During the story, I would like students to be thinking about beginning, middle, and end. They would do this through a mapping activity. We would also talk about how Akalak views the various animals during the different points in the story. After reading, I would like my students to do a research project. They would use the iPads to research an animal in the book to find out more facts. Then the students would choose an animal based off of what they learned through their research and explain why this animal is the best to present. They will present why they chose this animal. In the sweetest Kalu, I would like my students to start by using an anticipation guide. This guide will have many different words of encouragement. The students will look through the phrases and guess which phrases may best apply to this story. During reading, I would like my students to discuss why each animal has a special message. Why are animals giving advice instead of humans? After the reading, I would like my students to write a letter to Kalu. They will each choose an Arctic animal and use their words of wisdom. They will then expand these words of wisdom to tell Kalu why this information is important on their future. For the buffalo dance story, before reading, I would like my students to make predictions. After looking at the cover, what do you think this story will be about? Why do you think the buffalo dance is important to Native American culture? How do you think this tradition began? During reading, I will give my students post-it notes, and I would like for them to put little emojis telling me how they're feeling during the story. What surprised you? What made you feel sad or scared? And when do you think the story had a happy moment? After reading, students will research the buffalo dance. They will look at the history behind the rituals, and then for extra credit, they can choose to perform the buffalo dance that they have researched. As far as interdisciplinary lessons, I have included the following. Geography. Students will research places where various tribes lived. They will work in groups to discover the characteristics of the land. History. Students will learn about Inuit tribes and create a timeline of their history. Music. Students will research music and ritual routines and various tribes. Reflection. It's easier to get students engaged in multicultural literature than most people think. Many people have a negative attitude when trying to include Native American literature or any multicultural literature, in fact. It's easy to get students involved when you think of what their interests are. I know many of my students are really excited by animals and different traits, so I think that the stories that I have chose would really spark their interest. Finding a common theme makes lessons run more smoothly. Such as I have done, I found the theme of animal spirits and their wisdom. Once you can find a connection, it's easy to introduce multicultural literature to your students. And I definitely will be working to integrate Native American literature into my curriculum. I found much value after doing this project. Thanks for listening.